And when I speak to kids, I go to schools and speak to youngsters. And the first thing they want to know is, when did you make your first million? What kind of car you drive? Where do you live? Where do you vacation? Or you spend your money? That's not what they need to know. What they need to know is the hustle, the commitment, the staying focused, the staying disciplined, and you should be lucky to be in the right spot. And if you're not lucky this time around, you'll be lucky the next time around. So put yourself in a position where you can be lucky. It's not what you know or who you know, it's who knows you. Beethoven, when you reached out to me, I'm a busy guy, very, very busy. But when you reached out to me, I had a commitment to doing this podcast with you because you made me realize that you are fascinated with my life. And if we can use this podcast to inspire and motivate many more youngsters, instead of us just watching them be incarcerated, let's watch them grow and learn and walk in our footprints, or do it better than we did it, because they're going to be smarter and much more efficient.
But we're starting a conversation right away, Ricky. I think for me, this conversation I wanted to have for so long, because I think you're not the norm. So I want to have the conversation to talk about your process on how you keep it going and how you keep on hustling no matter what. So today we have Ricky Wade.
I'm happy to be here.
The one and only Ricky Wade, man. Thank you for coming, man. So let's get right into it so we can unpack your process, man. Yeah. Ricky Wade, born and raised where?
Kingston, Jamaica. Proud Jamaican. As a matter of fact, we just celebrated 60 years of independence. Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Oh, that means a lot. I mean, we were under British rule for so long. And as Jamaican people, folks from all different nations that came together to call Jamaica home. It's good to be independent and do things our way and have our money represent our leaders and our forefathers of the country, etc. So I just think that, as America, it speaks about freedom. Independence is freedom.
So there's two different cultures. So there's the Jamaican culture and there's the Kingston culture. Well, tell me what you feel about that.
So listen, I mean, different people have different ways of looking at it, but I've always said that if you're from Kingston or you're from the country, which is another parish, across the country, you're still a Jamaican. And I just don't like segmenting things. I think that Kingston may be a little bit more progressive because it's really is the main city, and there's more progression there because everything is more current and relevant there. But you know what? If you're from the country in Jamaica, you're relevant too. So
what was it like growing up in Jamaica?
Well, Jamaica is a different way of life. A lot of people always say that it's cool runnings. It's no problem, no pressure. It's a very stress-free country. I mean, even with the vast poverty, nobody will starve in Jamaica because there's food from the land. But growing up in Jamaica was good because you get more independence very early in life, and the education is great, provided you stick with it. And, you have more family roots, and just like any other place, generations change from generation to generation. I like to consider myself extremely traditional because I was raised on some traditional values, and I like to keep it. Now, when I look at my son, that's a millennial, and my granddaughters that are Gen Alphas, I mean, they operate totally different.
Totally different.
However, they're still my bloodline.
So did you mother and father in the house?
No, so I grew up, my mom was a single mom. My father was around, but my father died when we were young. And he died in a plane crash. But my mother taught me everything that I know. And my mother was absolutely a trooper and did a great job raising her 3 kids.
I was going to ask, brother and sister, like, what was it?
I have 1 brother and 1 sister, on my mom's side. Then I have a couple more half brothers and a half sister.
And your dad's
on
side.
my dad's side, fathers from way back, they did things a little bit different.
They're a little different. I understand.
I don't want to call them roamers, but they lived a different life.
Yeah, I understand the West Indian culture. It's a little different than. But how was that? How was school in Jamaica? Were you a student in Jamaica?
Yeah. And I tell you, you asked me how it was like to grow up in Jamaica. I grew up because you see so much poverty in Jamaica. I grew up with a drive that I wanted to make sure that my family and when I raise my kids, that I would be able to give them any opportunities that they need and give them as much exposure as I can give them. So I made a commitment to marrying right, working right, and keeping the hustle going, because life's about a hustle.
So when you say those things, those are big key points, man. When you say marrying right, what does that mean? Well,
marrying someone, you're not only married for love. Love is a key component of marriage, but you're marrying someone who shares the same values that you share, that share the same vision for raising a family that you share, has the same ambition that you may have, and that there are similarities there. But understand the culture of family, because, you heard me tell you earlier, I'm a traditional man, and I'm going to die a traditional man. And to me, tradition and family is everything.
So do you believe that your mom instilled that in you early?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We stuck together from an early stage, and, my mom was not wealthy, but, we never starved. We always had food. We always had shelter. We always had clothing. So to me, when a woman in that kind of a culture, that's a single mom, maneuvering in a very chauvinistic culture and doing well, that's a beautiful thing.
What did she do?
So my mom was very extensively involved in politics, and then she took a 180-degree turn and got extremely involved in helping poor people and being involved in religion. She switched her religious groups probably 3 times. She started as a Catholic, then went to being an Anglican, then went to being as a Christian, and then she ended her special years before she passed as a Seventh-day Adventist.
And the adjustment of religion, you believe, did that affect you at all, or was it?
No, because I just wanted my mom to be happy. And she was extremely happy being a Seventh-day Adventist, and that's what she closed out her life as. They made her feel value added. She enjoyed work with poor people. She enjoyed helping kids that want opportunity to get a good education. She loved to take care of seniors that were ill, that could not afford medication. So she was an advocate in many of those respects. She gave everything, and she gave what she did not even have.
That's powerful. I think I want to go back a little bit when you made the decision that you were committing for a better lifestyle, more success. When was that, and how did you come about that?
So, I was not the typical young man. I made that decision at age 12, because I saw my mom. I could look at my mom and see sometimes where she wished she could do more for us. A lot of her siblings were very well off. And, when we had family get-togethers, I knew some things hurt her, because she would love to do for her kids like what she saw her siblings doing for their kids. And I saw it in her face. And I told her when I was 12, I said, "Mommy, one day Ricky will be your Aunt Pat." Because my Aunt Pat was the wealthiest of all of her siblings, and always threw big, lavish parties and Christmas dinners and every holiday. And And I told her that was my focus because I wanted her to understand that it's not only how much money you have, it's the drive, the discipline, the focus, and being lucky that's going to take you places in life.
And at 12, what did you start doing to get ready for the next chapter?
So it's amazing you asked that question because I spent a lot of time with older folks.
Wisdom.
I really didn't hang out with a lot of kids my age apart from sports. And the reason why I did that is because I had to have an admiration for an individual, for something that they did. And then I wanted to get close to them so I could walk in their footprints and learn from them. And I've always said it's okay to steal shamelessly, because if somebody's doing something right and it's working, why not try to replicate it? Why try to reinvent the wheel? Why try to make things complicated and difficult when it could be easy? We all use the GPS today because that was created. But we use the GPS to navigate ourselves, to get from point A to point B in an efficient manner. Knowledge is the same thing, my friend. It's not what you know, who you know, it's who knows you. And so I've always believed in that philosophy. And I've been lucky, very, very lucky to be where I'm at today. But I've been very focused, very driven, and I'm always in the zone.
So when you were 12, 13, growing up in Jamaica, did you start positioning yourself since then?
So I tell you, I had my first business when I was 14.
Doing what?
Cutting grass. Okay. Then at age 15, I still cut grass, but I went and started at a disco service where we played for your parties. And, it was just a blast, but that was how my head was. That's how I was wired. I was wired to take advantage of demand. What you saw as demand. And when I was young, there was a lot of parties, a lot of fetes, a lot of high school parties, and they always need a DJ. And if you played good music, as today is, you can certainly get a great audience. It all depends on the kind of music you're playing. So, that led me and created a foundation, a platform for me to understand that, being in business for yourself, you can build generational wealth. When you work for someone, you may live a great life. You may even feel rich, but you're not really building wealth.
So you already felt that and understood that back then.
Listen, man, listen. They've always said that the tribulations you go through in life help direct you where you need to be. And so, I knew what I wanted. Now, I'm not the typical individual because some people may say I sacrificed too much to get to where I'm at. And I still work the same way I worked 30, 40 years ago. Why? Because what you have today can be gone tomorrow. And so if you want to keep it in front of you, you got to make sure it wants to be in front of you.
When did you make the decision to come to the U.S.?
So I came to the U.S. when I was 8 and we migrated. And I came to the U.S. and I wanted to be an airline pilot like my dad. And my father actually died in a plane crash when I was 18. And so that took a different spin. And, you heard me say about being in the right place at the right time. I just happened to be in a McDonald's restaurant and I got a chance to speak to an executive called Fred Collins. And, in speaking to that man, he just inspired me.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 19.
When you first had your first conversation?
My first conversation, my first job, my first real job.
Came from Jamaica, got here.
Yeah, but I was flying. I was at a flying school in Miami at Miami Airport. But, when I got my first job, I really enjoyed it. And, and I tell people, sometimes people have this stereotype or there is this facade that working for a fast food, any fast food, that it's the bottom of the barrel, it's a grease trap. Listen, if that was a grease trap, I want to always be greasy, if that's the case. But I'll tell you, I did that. My wife did it. That's where I met my wife. We worked hard, we worked smart. And, when you're with a brand like McDonald's, people don't, McDonald's doesn't toot their own horn, but McDonald's is one of the American icon brands. And McDonald's has created more millionaires than a lot of companies that are Fortune 500 companies. They have done a lot for minority folks. They have been speaking diversity forever. So, when you hear diversity, equity, and inclusion, McDonald's has been singing that song for a long time because, they understood, they saw who their staff was. They saw who their consumers are. We open our doors, we're opening our doors to everybody. So you have to be inclusive. We're opening up our doors to a diverse group, especially in South Florida. So you got to think that diversity is a priority. And, an equity is when you make your people feel like they belong.
So I want to, for those that don't know, 'cause we just got into it, started talking. For those that are watching that don't know, you are the owner of an operator of McDonald.
Yes,
Explain.
I'm a McDonald's franchisee, and McDonald's Corp is the franchisor. And we own and operate restaurants from Boca Raton to Fort Pierce.
How many McDonald's now?
So we have 28. Yeah.
So 20. So you started. So now this is going to get good. You started off at 18 years old with your first job in the
19, 19, yes.
And now you're the owner and operator of 28 McDonald's.
So what does that tell you about the brand being McDonald's?
I want you to tell me what that looks like.
It tells you that, and I'm just a witness. Mm-hmm. I've lived it. I've lived the American dream because the McDonald's brand has allowed me to live the American dream. McDonald's has, my first thoughts were to be as a corporate executive with a company. That's where my wife, talking about values and sharing the same views and core values. My wife said, Ricky, we may be better served as a family with us becoming franchisees. And at first I was totally opposed to it. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. So when we had the opportunity to, because this great brand called McDonald's has allowed us to, we jumped all over it. And we have never looked back. And I am proud to be a McDonald's franchisee. I am proud to be a part of this great brand called McDonald's. And McDonald's has taught me a lot, but I've worked for it. I've earned everything that I have. We have, myself, my wife.
So I think for me, I want to go in a little deeper from the foundation. How old were you guys? So you got in there at 19. You met her working in McDonald's.
Yeah, and then we got married not too long after. And
what does that timeline looks like? Because you say you had to pick right.
I got married at, I think, age 24 to my wife. And
what made you pick her?
Well...
And what's her name? I'm sorry.
Her name is Lisette. And
what made you pick Lisette as the one?
I was a typical young man. She was beautiful.
You started smiling a lot.
I thought it was love at first sight. It was love at first sight. And, we have been, we spent a lot of times, having picnics and speaking about what the future looks like. We went to places and envisioned what it would be like to live like that. And we just stayed focused on our purpose, our vision, and our mission. And our vision was to raise a very successful family and to do it centered about love and family values. And we have done that. And we have, I have 3 great kids. And, my eldest daughter, gave us 2 granddaughters, and my middle daughter is involved in my business now as a next generation candidate. To be a franchisee. She actually opened up, I gave her, great steaks in the newest restaurant we have in Delray. We call it Delray West. And so, the entity is Dash Legacy because her name is Devon Ashley. So it's Dash Legacy because she wants to keep the legacy going. And she'll take from there. My son just graduated last year with his master's in finance. Double major undergrad, and he's now just enrolled now with NYU to get his MBA in real estate. So we hope he comes on board with us. If he doesn't, he'll have his own life.
I think that's a beautiful thing, but I want to, once again, I want to keep on going. And from the start to get to the present, and quickly, because I know your timing is valuable also. When she gave you that, hey, we should look into this, what did you do right away after that?
I'm going to tell you. So we were in Raleigh, North Carolina, because I got relocated to Raleigh. And we relocated as a family with this beautiful brand called McDonald's. And it was 1998. She made that comment to me about, Ricky, we're young. We should look at becoming franchisees, because I was working with the franchisees, then working for the corporation. And, the more I spoke to some of these franchisees, the more I said,
it's attainable.
That would be a beautiful thing. But I always was of the mindset that McDonald's would not allow me to. So I spoke to the division president. Her name was Deborah Koenig. My field vice president, Karen King. And they said, Ricky, if this is the dream you want to chase, we'll help you attain it. So guess what? It was April the 17th, 2001, that we became franchisees of 7 restaurants in Palm Beach County.
7 at one time?
7 at one time. Listen, man, I was leveraged like there could be no more leverage. We ate quarter pounds with cheese for lunch, a Big Mac for dinner, and an Egg McMuffin for breakfast for many years. For like the first 2 years, because, we were leveraged, but it was the best leveraged process to go through. It kept us humble. It kept us grounded, and it made us put ourselves off to a great running start, and we've never looked back.
How important was the hustle in that process?
The hustle was everything. And, when I speak to kids at different business schools, whether it's Lynn University or FAU or Palm Beach State College, or I speak at the Urban League, which I'm the chair at, or any organization that I'm trying to inspire youth that want to have an opportunity in life that's smart and hungry for it, I tell them that you got to get up with a hustle mindset, and you got to go to bed thinking about the next day's hustle. So you have a jump start, so when you wake up, you can just hit the road running. But you got to hustle. And you heard me say earlier, it's not what you know, who you know, it's who knows you. My mom that I spoke about earlier, always, because I was a selfish kid when I was younger. And she always told me, Ricky, the more you help and the more you share, the more will come back to you. And the more you achieve, much will be expected of you. And, my mom passed in the early 2000s. And I made it a point to maintain those values. And I've lived by it. I'm not a typical franchisee or QSR owner. I'm very rooted in my community. And I try, and everything that I get involved with is things that provide scholarships for kids that may be coming from very, very, very humble beginnings, that have the smarts to do anything they can to help them get that jump start. So I'm all about scholarships. I'm all about shelter. I'm all about food, that way nobody starves. And I'm all about helping to provide opportunity for anyone that's of a diversity background. And when I say diversity, that includes whites. If you have the right mindset and the right attitude, I want to help you succeed. You just got to be hungry, not really hungry. You got to be starving to be successful. And I'll be right there with you.
The commitment, what level of commitment, what does commitment look like for this?
Well, commitment to me is walking the talk, letting your behavior speak for you. Because I can tell you anything I want to tell you, but my behavior is what will convince you. And so, I live by that. I'm the chair for the Urban League. Okay, why? Because it addresses diversity. Okay, we just had a kid that's a part of our New Lights that got a full ride to Harvard University.
Powerful.
Okay, how great that makes me feel. I wish I went to Harvard. Okay, but if we helped provide an environment and a GPS to help a youngster navigate and get and live their dream and live their American dream and live a successful life We all should. That's our responsibility. That's our commitment.
When it comes, Ricky, sheesh, I feel like I need to go out and do something different tomorrow. I think, well, I know for sure, I want to ask you this. What does legacy mean to you?
So legacy is everything to me. It's not money, it's legacy. So I'm going to tell you a little background on me here. So I named our company. We named, myself, my wife. So I want everybody to know it's not only Ricky Wade, it's myself, my wife.
Beautiful.
That's what gives us the force. We named our company Being the Best Inc. People laughed. Being the Best Inc. But I said two things. When you see that name, you'll never forget it because it's different. But number two, for my staff, when they realize they're working for Being the Best Inc., you should be the best at what you do or try to be the best. Our management company is called Wade's Winners. You don't have to come in first to win. You have to finish what you start to win. And we have another company that owns our buildings, our commercial buildings and our office and stuff like that. It's called Wade's Legacy. Because my legacy has always been to leave for my children the fact that we're not renting, we own. And when you own, you have some footage in the roots, okay? And you belong. Nobody can kick you out. The only person kick you out is yourself. So that's what ownership and legacy means to me. I told my kids that I hate to speak about death, but I don't want anybody to try to write my eulogy. I would have written my eulogy so they can just speak to the accomplishments and what I did, because that's my eulogy. And my eulogy will be my legacy.
Well, yeah. Very powerful.
It's just how it is, my friend. I've always said that, we can decorate what we want to decorate, but we always have to be real. And when I speak to kids, I go to schools and speak to youngsters. And the first thing they want to know is, when did you make your first million? What kind of car you drive? Where do you live? Where do you vacation? Or you spend your money? That's not what they need to know. What they need to know is the hustle, the commitment, the staying focused, the staying disciplined, and you should be lucky to be in the right spot. And if you're not lucky this time around, you'll be lucky the next time around. So put yourself in a position where you can be lucky. It's not what you know or who you know, it's who knows you. Beethoven, when you reached out to me, I'm a busy guy, very, very busy. But when you reached out to me, I had a commitment to doing this podcast with you because you made me realize that you are fascinated with my life. And if we can use this podcast to inspire and motivate many more youngsters, instead of us just watching them be incarcerated, let's watch them grow and learn and walk in our footprints, or do it better than we did it, because they're going to be smarter and much more efficient.
100%. And I think with what you're saying, I'm inspired by it because there's a process that you are, and now learning more about it from it. Start off with the decisions that you made early, but the process of actually owning a McDonald's franchise, what does that look like for those that one day want to do that?
So, it's a beautiful thing to do. McDonald's, as a matter of fact, McDonald's CEO, Chris Kimchensky, is working on something new now where he wants to offer franchising opportunities to lower income folks from what's considered to be poverty-stricken areas that have worked hard, have saved the little money they have, and are just looking for an opportunity to own something. And so McDonald's has what's called a registered applicant program where you can apply. And I would encourage anybody to apply because you just never know. You may be lucky. And, McDonald's, you heard me say earlier, McDonald's has probably made more millionaire people of diversity than the average company has because they're committed to diversity. Okay. And so I would encourage anybody. I mean, if your dream is to own a restaurant, go on, the McDonald's.com and fill out the application because you never know what you'll hear. And if you get turned down, don't give up. Or it may not be McDonald's for you, it may be something else for you. It may not be the fast food business for you, it may be some retail. But if you can work for yourself, do it. Because it will help you build long-term legacy wealth.
Is the first process to work at McDonald's or to own a McDonald's? What would you recommend?
No. You have to learn everything about McDonald's. You got to work in it, and you got to convince the franchisor that you are equipped, you are capable, and you are able to run a site.
So it's not just write a check, I want to be part of McDonald's.
No. McDonald's trusts and they verify. And when they trust and they verify and they give you the green light, you are ready like Freddie.
So it's not, here's the money and go.
Nope. Doesn't work like that.
If you had an opportunity to, I think one of the biggest thing for me is, would you hire yourself and why?
Well, I absolutely would because A, I'm committed. B, I'm loyal. C, I'm always looking for a better way to get something done more efficiently. D, I'm always trying to educate myself every single day. I want to learn something new. And, and the rest is what I consider to be just a standard. I'm all about success. I'm all about legacy. And I'm all about growth. Now that may mean something different to every. If I ask you what does wealth mean to you and what is wealth, we may be different on it. But wealth to me is knowledge. Wealth to me is putting away money and secure that I can raise my family and see my great grandkids and my grandkids off to a great educational start in life and just being able to help and help others succeed. My presence, that's who I am. And if I show up, I'm there for the long term. McDonald's was truly my only true job I've ever had. And it still is my only true job as a franchisee because I'm working it every single day. I get up early and I go to bed late. I don't sleep much because I believe that the more I'm awake is the more I'm in the zone. I'll have enough time to sleep when I'm a dead man.
I was going to ask you that. Is there such a thing called retirement for you?
My wife keeps saying to me, Ricky, that we should retire and enjoy our lives and slow down. I don't see it on my radar because I believe that the day you stop putting that mind to work, when something gets stagnant, it spoils, it rots. McDonald's is saying, stay green and growing. Don't be ripe and rot. Yeah. So that's who I am. That's why I'll hire Ricky Wade any day of the week. And every day I get up, I hire Ricky Wade.
That's powerful.
I just can't pay Ricky Wade the money he wants.
Right.
But I told him, hang in there with me, stick with me, and he will see the rewards at the end of the tunnel or the end of the journey. But the journey never ends.
Well, Ricky, let me tell you, my brother, I appreciate you. I
appreciate you, Beethoven, because you know what? You're doing something to help a lot of folks out there. And, it's good. And I don't mean to get cultural, but I always like to see a successful brother. And I walked into your office here today. This is your gig. You work for yourself, and you got a good staff, and you got a diverse staff. You got a white guy that works for you. You got a Caribbean guy that works. As a matter of fact, he's Jamaican. And but what I'm saying though is that you don't realize this, but every podcast you do, you're learning something new.
Absolutely.
And every podcast you do helps you navigate where you're going to go to the next day or how you're going to approach something. So you're on an ongoing journey of education and knowledge.
Absolutely.
And you have not lost sight of success and trying to leave a legacy for your children to come, if you don't have kids already, and for your family.
Absolutely.
But you're determined. You'll do it, Beethoven.
I believe I will, and I know my team will help also. They're part of it.
Well, listen, you just asked me earlier if I'd hire Ricky. You hired them. So you must have seen something good in them.
Next level. Absolutely, bro. Thank you, man.
Now,
I appreciate this.
As we say in Jamaica, enough respect.
Absolutely. Respect.
Bless up to the highest.
Absolutely.
And, to anyone that's listening to this podcast, I think that, when Beethoven interviewed me over the phone and told me what he wanted me to do, I couldn't wait to do it because he's all about spreading the word. He's all about exposure for everyone. He's all about making sure that we create a better tomorrow than we had yesterday. So my hat's off to you and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. A lot more to come, my brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, brother. All right, brother. Thank you. It's been good. God bless. Good night.
Thank you.